What is up, guys? So I installed the seasons mod in the map and updated my save game and everything to reflect changes. And it seems to be working. I ran through all the seasons. If you bring up the menu, you can change everything. We're in a 12-day season. Works well, ran through all the seasons, the snow works and everything like that. So yeah, should be interesting to see how everything else goes. And also finished adding in all the fencing to the cow navigation mesh and added in some extra gates and stuff like that. Anyways, we left off moving some bales around, so probably move these to the edge of the field here. It's a little loud. So I think we'll move it down close to the road. That way if we need to pick these bales up again, we can do that pretty easy. So first thing I noticed with the Seasons mod is the lighting, the shading is very different. The tree textures are different as well. I like in the late autumn, early winter when all the leaves fall and it's just the bare bone trees. It's really cool. So we're just gonna line our bales up along the road here. Now, apparently the hay and straw and stuff like that is supposed to, if it gets rained on, it's supposed to get reduced, but I'm not sure if that's going to apply to these bales, because these aren't in-game bales. These bales are actually part of my baler that run on a script, so I'm not sure if these hay bales will be affected by the seasons script or not. And I think there are like certain triggers you need to put on your buildings in case you store the hay and stuff inside. Running over all my grass here, so I'll try to stay on the road. So I haven't updated any of the buildings. I need to update my buildings collisions anyways, because the cows are going through them. Same with the fence. So I don't know if there's like a certain collision you have to put on map objects for animals to stop walking through them and stuff. So I had to update all my fruit and terrain density, so we're gonna have to go ahead and reapply our fertilizer as well. It's no big deal. But installing went pretty easy, took about 2 minutes, not even. I had to resize the actual GDM file, because this isn't a 1x, it's 16x, so everything, the snow layer would work properly. But it's still very much a whip work in progress. I think they're going to be rolling out some changes and everything like that, but for now it works. Add seasons. The price, my milk production is different. it's just nice the way it controls the crop growth and everything like that. I don't know what I'm gonna do during winter. I mean, so figured I'd do a little live stream. 4th of July, nothing really happens till this evening. Trying to run over as little bit of grass as I can so I can still mow this. Get a decent crop out of it. Yeah, of course I got floating buildings. This map is under construction. Those are just kind of placeholders so I know where the maps are. So I don't always have to keep going back to Google Maps when I go back to finish these farms up. This is the only area that I'm really working on right now. I don't think anyone really appreciates pointing out the obvious. Get to it when I get to it. I think I'm eventually going to go and add some birch trees and some pine trees so it's not all oak. I have one section down the road that has a couple different tree varieties. Birch and I forget what the other tree is. It's like there's oak and I think it might be maple tree. Looking fancy. Yeah, I feel kind of weird not being in like a TeamSpeak or just me talking. I should change that. But I'm not doing multiplayer right now. This is just single player because it doesn't really make sense to download a map 1,000 times for every update. I'm not too sure if I like this ground response mod that Giants released. It's kind of, I mean, it kind of acts funny. I'm not, maybe it's just me, but I think I'm going to take it out because I don't really see any purpose of the ground response. One thing I notice is that when Seasons is updating, it lags for like a solid 30 seconds. And that's to be expected. It's a 16 times more area than the in-game 1X, so that's to be expected, but runs super smooth after it done its complete its synchronizing. Error free, so that's all we can really ask for. Bale's like stuck on. Come on, get off. Get. Stage 5 Klinger Bale we had there. So I'm gonna keep these over here as an experiment, because if I walk up to them, it's a 1.1 ton 1,000 liter bale. Seasons is supposed to affect these bales. I'm not sure if it's actual bales or it's just like stuff that's on the ground. It's supposed to rot it away, I guess. We shall see when it gets rained on. Looks like we have some rain coming up. Someone's asking about my V-Rake. Yeah, it's private. Built that at the tail end of 15, and I think I need to adjust some of the drop-offs and some of the particle nodes, because particles and everything is different from 15. Like the size and how everything. I'm pretty sure Giants does a lot better job at modeling than I do. It's just that they don't really focus on mods that most people want, and the nice thing is when you spend the time and learn how to do it, you can really make whatever you want, so you don't have to rely on Giants. But Giants, they do. What is the deal with this thing? Giants does a lot better job at textures and UV maps. The day they fix these Bale collisions is going to be amazing. Yeah, I'm sure the European crowd loves the in-game equipment. Those of us across the pond don't really, you know, we have to modify everything. I think in terms of modeling and texturing and scripting and You know, there's just a lot more talent over there in Europe than here in the States. So their mods tend to be quite a bit nicer. So hopefully I did as little damage as possible in my grass. If I bring up, right now we're in the beginning of spring, so we should be able to harvest it till late. I'm not sure how many crops we're going to get off of our hay, but I imagine once we cut it, it will start regrowing again. I don't know how many days it's going to take for the crop to grow back, but I haven't really messed around with any maps. I've just been focusing on this one. The only other maps I've played on are the ones by CWJ that he sent over. I've seen pictures of other maps and they just everything's square and flat pretty much, so I tried to avoid those kind of maps. It's not my style. Alright, so we moved all these bales. Once it rains, we'll try to come back and check on them. See what goes on. I think we're farming right now 150-ish, 160-ish acres. I'd have to double check on that. I think we probably picked up an additional 60 acres, maybe more, from the fields we start out with. So when you first start out a game with seasons, it actually, if you have any kind of crops or anything painted, it actually like reduces it. So I kind of went ahead and just added seasons to my save game. So which I don't think it actually supports. Anyways, we have a bunch of messy feed here, which is grass. I'm not really sure why let's see if I go to my cows where it says cleanliness, it's 0. I'm not sure why it spits out grass, but whatever. I actually ran this over with a baler, so I can bale this up and with my round baler instead of trying to shovel everything. So we're in the cow pasture now. We're gonna buzz over to this small hay field. Yeah, the thing with the square flat maps is they're quick and easy to make compared to doing it the other way, and you lose interest, and then you see people make new ones, you know. They just don't have that playability, you know. Every part of the map is similar, it all looks the same. So with these bales, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these closer to the farm. I should have moved these after I cut, so this field is probably going to get toasted. Probably won't get much of a crop off of it. I'm going to park these bales on the back end of the shed. With this map, you'll be able to, like, eventually if you want to do large crop farming operations, you'll set up shop on a different farm. If I bring up the map here, you can see fields 2, 1, 12. I mean, between those 3 fields, you're already up close to 500 acres in game, so that would pretty much take up all your time for crop farming. I mean, there's thousands of acres of farmable land on this map, so this area is just designed for a small grain farm, very small grain farm, or small dairy. In the immediate area, there's probably maximum of 400 farmable acres until you actually have to drive down the road a couple miles to get to some new fields. It always amazes me, like, how good these cows look and how well they move. And then the rest of the game is just totally, like, not even remotely close to that kind of realism. It's like, why they put so much detail into their animals and nothing else is... I have a 3-point for the rear. If I go up to my, I think it's in my front loader. I made a dual bale spear, and then I made one for the front too, but it's just easier to do one at a time. When you're running two, I need to spend a little time because sometimes the bales get a little funky, especially if the terrain isn't flat when you're trying to load the second one. It works, but it'd be better if the rear hitch was mouse controlled, but it isn't, so. The front loader is nice to move bales, just because it is mouse controlled. So we're just a small dairy running, I think 60 dairy cows. This field's gonna be shot. One of these days I'm just gonna hit that gate and make a mess. So eventually I'm gonna have to get some straw bales in here. I saw there was a buyable bale mod where you can actually buy bales. So I might take some of these big round bales out and add it to that script so I can buy some straw bales and stuff like that. Denied. What the hell is wrong with this one? Bales, it's a love-hate, mostly hate relationship. What the fuck? There we go. Finally. Three more to move. Oh my god, can't see anything. This would be impossible. Oh. Made it. The downside with loader tractors is like the visibility is so poor. Like compared to a skid loader, you can't see what you're doing. I see a lot of people asking for the map and the links of stuff in a lot of videos. So either I'm getting a lot of new viewers, or they're just trying to be annoying. So Good rule of thumb is if you have to ask, it's probably not available. I had to get a power washer. I don't like how you can just drive through animals like that. What? What? Last two bales. We still might be able to get a decent crop out of this field. Actually, I forgot I have all the bales in the other hayfield too, so there's 8 more on the other side of the woods here. I don't think CWJ is going to release any maps, just because of what people did back in 15. And honestly, releasing stuff is such a hassle. I don't like doing it. You know, we don't get paid to do this. It's not our full-time job, so. I think Giant should be the only one that releases stuff. Especially for consoles. I mean, my god, I'm so annoyed with how many people ask if something's coming out for Xbox or PlayStation. Like, who cares? Get a PC if you want mods. Consoles was the worst thing that happened to this game. Hands down. I didn't realize, like, we used to think link biggers were bad, and then consoles happened, and that put the whole bigging to a new low. You know, some days if I'm crabby and grouchy and I see that, I'll just automatically ban the person. No questions asked. Other days I'm a little more lenient. Close that back up. It's not like the animals are gonna get out or anything. So I do believe we have 8 or so bales on this side of the woods. Someone was saying PS4 is better than PC. You couldn't be any more wrong. I don't need that kind of ridiculousness. Wait, did I move these bales? Pretty sure I didn't move any of these bales, but they're all gone. Right? Like, I had bales in the last video over here, and now they're all gone. Where did they go? Did they all rot away? No. Oh, wow, pretty decent crowd looking. See, Jakey Poo's in. If he's in a grouchy mood, he's gonna lay down the law of the land. I'm pretty sure I'm missing some bales, but that's okay. Didn't really feel like moving those anyway. So I guess we'll get back to mowing. Someone, I think someone came over and stole my bales. Yeah, the neighbor. I remember watching One Lonely Farmer video, pretty old videos. He used to do some small bales or something like that and store them in a shed. And someone was taking his bales. So he changed, because he has unique twine, I guess. He was seeing someone was using, we saw some of those bales. I don't know what the story is, but someone was jacking his hay bales. Alright, so we're hooked up to this guy. Hook up to the old Moco. So today is what, Sunday? That means tomorrow it's gonna, so we're gonna have to mow this. We have like 2 full days to mow and ted and everything else. So we're gonna want to set this to like 4 meters. Adjust our offset to like 1. And I think we should be good. I grew up with a Super Nintendo, and that thing was amazing. Like Super Mario and all kinds of cool games. Remember it had like some kind of shooter game, and there was like a rocket launcher kind of controller my dad bought us. Good times. And I had like a Pikes Peak racing game and like go-karts. Compared to what's out there now, it's terrible, but at the time it was fun. I think kids today are lucky to have the kind of gaming stuff, but at the same time I think we had better cartoons growing up. I don't know, I grew up, I was outside all the time. I was never inside playing video games. If I was a kid today, I'd be like I would definitely be a chubster for sure. I'd be inside playing video games all the time, eating Doritos. Pretty sure my parents would kick me outside though. So, have some floating fences I need to finish up. Making these even with the train, but at least they're in. Hard part's over. Right, like my generation, we grew up with like Hey Arnold and Doug, Recess. All the good cartoons. So last time I mowed this with the in-game New Holland disc spine, and the thing just sucks the power. This goes a lot faster than the New Holland. So I'm going to do probably 4 passes to give myself enough room to turn around. This thing makes such a tight windrow that it always looks funny when I tet it. So I'm not sure how fast with the seasons mod this grass will grow back after we cut it. I imagine we should get a couple cuts out of it. Unless we only get 1 cut per season, which means we get the spring, summer, and maybe autumn. 3 cuts. Which is, I know a lot of people try to get 4 cuts out of their hay, but we'll see what the game allows us to do. I think this field is a little smaller than the... Actually, no, it might be a little bit bigger than the one across the woods here. It's not very big. I think it's only like 3 or 5 acres or something like that. But typically when you start the new season with the new game with the seasons, your crop isn't this high. So I think we'll get an extra cut than what we're supposed to. So I'm not gonna complain about that. So I bumped up the viewing distance of the trees a little bit, the how far it blends out from 1500 to 2000, and I think it looks a little bit nicer. You get just what I think is enough to until it starts fading off. The default of 1500 was cutting out a little too short for me. Not really sure if I like these seasons textures on these trees for the spring. Might update that. This mower, you can find it pretty much anywhere. It was Turbo Squid model, I believe, and then in-game back in 15. Has new textures and old used textures that, depending on which one you want to buy. Mouse controlled, gives you a little bit more flexibility in how you want to use it. So this will be our last headland. You know, honestly, this thing makes such a good swath that I really don't even want to tet it, but what would be nice is making like a little soil conditioner that kind of acts as a tedder and it just kind of flips the swath over a bit instead of using the big in-game tedders. Be a nice little mod to make, a little frontier conditioner. I mean, if this mower's gonna make these nice of a swath for me, it makes sense to use a little conditioner and then rake it all up. Oh, just hit my fence. Oops. That's why we can't have nice things. Maybe I'll chop this stuff instead of bale it. So I think I have enough bales. Hey, as is. I don't have any silage going. So I might chop our larger hay field, field 28. So I wasn't sure if I was gonna like mowing this way. Usually I use the triple mowers just because it goes so much quicker, but this is actually pretty enjoyable doing it this way. At least I'm happy that the season's mod's working. No errors. Oh wow. Wait, I'm at 17,600? I thought I was at like 500 last time. Nice to know that people still enjoy watching the videos. Yeah, I saw the Massey pack. I just think, I don't know, I don't really like the textures on it. It's really dark and I feel like it was kind of rushed. Definitely plan on getting a nice New Holland chopper made at some point, as well as some forage wagons. I think Jake is getting a server going, so maybe we can get back to some MP videos where I'm the hired worker and I get to fool around on his farm. Well, people are asking for some MP videos, and the commentary is probably what they want to hear most. Alright, so we're wrapping up this field. I'm not sure what kind of yield we're going to get off of it, but I'm not sure if seasons mod affects the yield with the seasons or not. Alright. So that wasn't too bad. Looks pretty clean. I think we're gonna buzz over and do the field across the woods here. I should make a path up at the top so I don't have to go all the way around. I could just sneak through the woods. This tractor is dirty, 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 dirty. Not really sure what I'm going to use for our harvest. We got beans and corn. But I don't have a really good, decent old combine to use yet. I don't know if we'll be able to sneak our mower through here. Oh, barely. Barely. If it fits the chips. Whoa. Oh, is it gonna fit through this? So this is a smaller gate. Oh, snap. This gate's too small. I'm gonna have to fix that. Either that or make a little path up on top like I was saying. Whatever, we'll just go mow the big one. Gate problems. These little gates are going to really restrict the size of equipment I can use. Oh my god. So we have this awkward field. I don't even know how they plant that thing in real life. It's so bizarre. So this is field 28. It's our largest hay field. Going to adjust my GPS a bit. So this area is pretty swampy. On to the left, it's It's not even, in real life, it's not even farmable land, I don't think, because it's always so swampy, so wet. This is the bottom of a valley. Kind of see a little stream that's always kind of dries up on drier years. Other wetter years, it's always kind of flowing. Nice thing about 17 is you can have multiple water planes at different heights, different elevations, where like in 15, if you were to do that, it used to use like water plane and so if you were to like put a water plane at a higher elevation, anything below that would be like underwater. So I'm glad they fixed that part of maps. So like if I were to go back and convert this back to like 15 or 13, like these other water layers wouldn't actually be water. They would just have to be kind of a static, visible, and not actual functional water. I'll still never understand why they changed the traffic spline system. I mean, in 13, traffic could actually like move and it would find its way back on the spline. Where like in 15 and 17, if you hit any kind of traffic with a vehicle, it's like impenetrable. And I think it's just kind of silly why they changed it. It didn't enhance anything. It actually made it worse. So it's always kind of interesting why they do these things. Open up some windows. What else can we do? We got the gauges working for RPM and speed. Hour meter, 3.1 hours. Chapter like this would probably have a couple thousand. I think this would be a nice area to farm in real life. Pretty secluded, quiet, peaceful. The only downside is this land is probably terrible. after it rains. It's probably just super wet all the time. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a fermenting silo to this farm, and then I'll probably take a break with this area and start working on some of these other static farms around this area, get those finished up, at least in this section, so I can finish up this northeast part now that this farm is functional, and then I'll probably come back and add some detail to it. But this is my first time playing with the Seasons mods, so I'm not really sure. I haven't looked at the manual and everything, that what it all includes, but last night I kind of sped through time and everything seems to work. All the trees change and crops change and snow accumulates, so see that it's kind of reducing my milk production on my cows. So I think that fluctuates with the seasons. Not really sure if it affects my yield on my hay crop or anything like that. But it might. I'm gonna see what we have for. I don't think this thing has a haylage head, like a pickup. I'd like to use a pull type, but might end up just seeing what's out there for choppers, because I'd like to chop this instead of bale it again. If I don't finish this, I would say there's a slim to none chance that this would ever get finished before 19 comes out. And I'll probably stick with 17 for a while, just because everything's converted over and all the scripts are working. You know, honestly, it literally takes a year at minimum to get a new game fully functioning again, and then that leaves you a year to play with it. So I don't know, be interesting to see what they change in the next version, if it's even worth switching over or taking 2 years off and then hopping back on again. So this has autosave every, I'm gonna do it like every half hour. 'Cause I haven't even finished converting all of my mods over to 17. I have about half of them complete, so. The biggest thing in 15, I mean 15 was fine, but the lights, I couldn't stand how the lights lagged the game. And they fixed that now, so really isn't a whole lot of motivation to switch over. Unless they change something dramatic, like change the way their crops are, which I can't see that ever happening. Gonna have to clean these windows super dirty. So if we bring up, pretty sure this is field 28. .89 hectares, so I'm not exactly sure what that turns out to be in acres. But that's how big this hayfield is that we're mowing right now, in case anyone was wondering. 2.89, that's probably close to, I don't know what that's in acres, I think there's like 3 acres or something like that in a hectare, I'm not sure. Forget what the conversion is. .3 acres, right, so this is 7.3 acre field. Not very big. Doesn't take very long to mow. The other ones must be like 2 acres or something like that. Yeah, in the previous versions there in the map, you had a windrow layer, so I'm not even sure, like if you wanted to add a new crop or something, like if you wanted to bale corn stalks, I don't even know how you would add a windrow. I think you would have to change the fruit to like change the actual shader, because I think if something has a windrow or not is based on the shader perhaps, or the material, because it's definitely not anything in the lines in the i3D, so to check on that. Now we're gonna have to switch back to this one. The fields aren't bigger. When people talk about 4x or 16x maps, the fields aren't bigger. Like everything's the same size. It's just the area, the square area is what that means. It means there's 16 or 4 times more area to play on the map. It's not that like the fields are any bigger. The fields are the same size. Could be smaller than the default map. It's just that there's a lot more land. So this is, I guess people are saying 7.3 acres, which is small. Like, I think a lot of guys probably, their hay fields are probably anywhere 30 to 50 acres for your typical hay field. But like this would be a big field on the default map, where this map it's teeny tiny. Like, you scroll all the way up here, it's just a little sliver. Yeah, I don't know how those British guys do it. Like, oh man, I couldn't farm with. Literally, it's like garden tractors that they use. Like, I know people that have larger gardens than a lot of their fields. But largest field on this map is 288 acres. Field 12. I mean, this is built off of a real area, so I can't really modify anything. .288 acre field in game. Unless you're using some decent sized equipment, take forever to farm that. Take all day. So it's still pretty chilly out based on this map. We're at 36 degrees Fahrenheit. Our soil temp's actually a tad bit warmer than the air temperature. So we're just above freezing. Apparently the next day, the Sunday, is supposed to be pretty warm out, 61. Soil temp is pretty consistent, 40s, low 40s. I'm excited. I haven't used the placeable grain bins or the augers much, so I'm kind of itching to get to the harvest so I can start using my gravity wagons and seeing how much we can put into that bin. It's a 300,000 liter bin, I'm not sure if we can only put one crop in it or if it's kind of like how the in-game silos are. You can fill it up with multiple crops. It'd be nice if you can only fill it with one crop at a time. Maybe it is, I'm not sure. I would say for where my area, a lot of the guys farm anywhere between probably 3 to 1,000 acres. You know, pretty much 90% of them are dairy. A couple of them have four-wheel drive tractors. I would say most of them, for your average chore tractor, you know, your 4440s, you know, a couple of old four-wheel drives. There's a couple guys out there with, you know, newer, bigger front wheel assist tractors. I would say the smallest tractor they have is probably close to 200 horse. You don't really see anything smaller than that. Unless it's just kind of like a mowing tractor for ditches and stuff like that. You don't see the big. Actually, I've seen a couple. You know, the 500, 600 horse tractors. I've seen a couple of those around. But usually, those guys are renting ground in multiple counties they're driving. They put more miles on those tractors than they probably put hours driving all over the place. Just because the fields, they're not very big. I mean, your big field's 100 acres, 150 acres. I mean, there's 50 and 60 acre fields all over the place, but it's pretty hard to find decent size to be more efficient. And then everything is so hilly, it's all contoured, so. See a lot of 16 row planters, don't see much for 24 row. Everyone pretty much is using an 8 row head for corn. I think maybe some of the smaller dairies, you know, they don't harvest their corn, they chop everything, so they might have 12 row planters. I personally have never seen a Fendt. I think it's a pretty rare thing to see European brands in the States. I mean, the only thing you really see are like Jaguars for forage harvesters. You don't really see anything but Jaguars. Like, you don't even see John Deere choppers much. See a lot of John Deere, a lot of Case, a lot of New Holland. A lot of the old, you know, International still floating around. A lot of the old Massey Fergusons, Olivers. But I think Fendt is going to start becoming a little bit more popular. I'm not sure what the relation is, but they seem to be doing a designed for Challenger, or Challengers adopting the Fendt. I'm not really sure how that all works out, but I'm not sure if Fendt's trying to get into the States or if Challenger's trying to get into Europe. But yeah, a lot of the kids I grew up with, they do anywhere from, you know, one of the smaller guys is probably 300 dairy cow, and bigger farmers probably 800 to 1,000 dairy cow. So it varies. I think your average is probably 300 to 400 dairy cows. Anything smaller, it's too small to even make it. They get bought out. I'm not sure what the milk price is, but it seems like milk has always been pretty low. I mean, a gallon of milk these days hasn't gone up. A gallon of milk is like, what, $3 a gallon? It's been like that forever. There's actually a couple farms that they actually make their own cheese. So I'm not really sure how they're able to do it, because the whole FDA is probably a nightmare to deal with. But a couple farms that make their own cheese, and I'm sure they make bank on cheese curds and homegrown cheese instead of just selling the milk, which I'm sure they do that as well. So it looks like even running around this field collecting the bales, we still managed to get a pretty decent crop out of it. So I'm either gonna have to sneak through the woods, or I'm gonna have to widen the gate eventually. Pretty sure I'm gonna chop this. I'm gonna chop all of this. There is field 17 at the end of the road here. Would be a decent field to pick up. I might pick that up just to have it. We have the money for it, so. It's all the way down the road here on the right. Pick up this field. Oh, so these trees are actually... I don't know why they have a little fall color to them. They should be kind of green at this point. Those must be the maple trees. Anyways, this field pretty decent. Let's see what it says. 3.33 hectares. Let's go ahead and buy it. 34,000. Why not? Anyways, I'm gonna take a break from streaming. Been doing it for an hour and a half. I'm gonna fix that gate. So I may or may not stream a little bit later. It's about 4:30 in the evening here. So thanks for everyone that was watching. There's quite a few people that were watching at some point, close to like 90 people watching. So anyways, thanks to anyone that liked and subscribed. See you later.